Hello everyone, it's Tom's story time again. Please enjoy the story. I am famous on social media for a video where I played a cold-blooded robber, which left viewers buzzing with excitement. My manager hurriedly signed me up for a survival reality show. Of course, the person who needs to survive isn't me, it's the other guests. I held a large meat cleaver and chased the guests as they scattered in panic. Sister, please let me go. Jian ran that way. His bounty is huge, go catch him quickly. I, Song Xingdu, managed to lure the film emperor here. If you catch him, you won't need to catch me anymore. When I first debuted, the pure white flower image was all the rage. My management company steered my development toward a white tea innocent style. I studied hard to embody that white flower persona, but because I was too diligent, the character slid into the territory of a calculating green tea girl, a label now recognized throughout the entertainment industry. Whenever netizens mention me, they usually call me Green Tea instead of my real name, as that image is deeply etched in everyone's minds. I was restricted in the roles I could take to make a living. Hiding it from my manager, I took a secret acting job for a counterterrorism and robbery drill at a kindergarten. I played a masked robber, brandishing a fake kitchen knife to create a scene of chaos. Because I stayed so deeply in character, passers-by thought it was real and rushed in to intervene, trying to restrain me. Single-handedly, I took down over 50 teachers and school security guards, seized over 400 child hostages, defeated more than 20 Good Samaritans, and subdued 4 patrolling police officers. Ultimately, the situation escalated so much that 2 SWAT teams had to cooperate to arrest me. The video recording the incident quickly went viral with headlines like, "The ferocious robber Song Xingdu, the green tea nature of a robber," or "Playing a terrorist and encountering real police. How can this girl look like a green tea but be so fierce? Taking down over 500 people alone, that's terrifying. I binged Sister Song's movies all night, she always plays green teas or weak patients. Why hasn't anyone invited her to play a robber yet? The acting is true to her nature." Reading the diverse comments, I couldn't help but feel a bit bitter. 10 years as a green tea and no one knew me, one day as a robber and the whole world knows. If the principal hadn't stepped in time to explain, I might still be in a detention center singing Tears behind iron bars. Eventually, my side job was discovered by Ms. Zhao, my manager. Ms. Zhao came to find me in a rage, slamming a stack of documents onto the table. Feeling a bit guilty, I intended to use my charms to persuade her, but she suddenly smiled. "There are a few scripts here completely different from your previous roles. See which one you like." I was surprised by this unexpected stroke of luck. For a long time, because of my green tea image, the roles I was given were always hated characters. Flipping through the pages, the first role was a historical drama where I played a bandit leader killed by the female lead. The second was a brothel madam defeated by the male lead. The third was a henchman in a gang crushed by the leads. I suppressed my surging emotions, looked up with a pitiful green tea expression, and watched Ms. Zhao. "Ms. Zhao, are these the only scripts? It's not that I don't like them, they just don't quite suit me. Don't be mad." I looked at her with a hesitant face. She paused for a moment, then tapped her forehead as if remembering something. "Oh right, there's also a survival reality show inviting you to participate. Will I be a guest?" I asked. Ms. Zhao shook her head. "No, a hunter." "You're a hunter." Hearing that, I was so excited that I slammed my hand onto the table. With a sharp crack, several fissures appeared on the tabletop. My heart skipped a beat. "It's over, I have to pay for damages again." Ms. Zhao gritted her teeth. "Song Xingdu, this is the 10th table you've broken. The compensation will be deducted from your salary." I gave a sheepish smile, but secretly cursed myself. This is why I'm poor. My entire meager salary goes toward replacing Ms. Zhao's office furniture. Suspecting the quality of the furniture was the problem, I pulled out my phone. "Give it to me, I'm filing a complaint right now." The second season of The Great Escape Stars was filmed in the Wanji primeval forest. The guests bring basic supply packs and must survive in the forest for 7 days while evading the hunters. When I arrived at the scene, the 4 permanent guests and 2 guest stars had already entered the forest 2 hours prior. I nervously stepped closer to director Kim and asked softly, Director Kim, how should I act? I don't have much experience. Director Kim glanced at me. You have experience. Being a hunter is just like the robber role you played. Hearing that, I had an epiphany and regained my confidence. I understand. Rest assured, I will complete the mission. Seeing this, Director Kim had an ill premonition and quickly reminded me, but take it easy on them. I raised my hand in an okay gesture. Then I started looking at the bounty board. The bounty for each guest was different. 3 gold film Emperor Jeongyeondu was worth 1 million, 2 gold film Queen Su Lanying was 800,000, the rising top star Gui Cheng was 700,000, the popular singer Ji Haeyu was 660,000. These 4 were the permanent guests. The 2 guest stars, Xiao Yubai and Fong Zhuqing, were each worth 500,000. Only children make choices. An adult robber obviously chooses them all. A few minutes later, Director Kim announced the official start of filming. Carrying my hunter gear and the bounty list, I intentionally lagged a few steps behind. I waited until the other 6 hunters were far away before running down a different small path. Sorry, teammates, I just want to hog the prize. What can I do? I'm too poor and have hundreds of mouths to feed. If it weren't for a livelihood, I wouldn't have stepped into this quick money entertainment industry. My little goldfishes worth 4,160,000, the cold-blooded robber has arrived. As the guests began their escape journey, the livestream went live. The production team had installed hidden cameras everywhere, and the livestream footage was provided by small cameras mounted on the guests' chests. This filming method greatly increased the immersive feeling but also easily caused dizziness. Those viewers prone to 3D motion sickness must be suffering. The guests were sheltered in a deep area of the forest, where there was a natural cave surrounded by thick vines. For safety reasons, the 6 guests decided to stay there together. Since they had eaten breakfast before departing, they weren't worried about food for the time being. Jeongyeondu sat on a rock at the cave entrance, carefully carving a wooden sword by hand. The stray locks of hair falling over his forehead made his cold appearance seem gentler. Su Lanying and the other 2 female guests, Ji Haeyu and Fong Zhuqing, sat in the cave chatting about skincare secrets. Gui Cheng and Xiao Yubai went to scout the surroundings, picking some wild berries along the way. My brother Du is so handsome. Stop carving wood, come carve me, my skin is very thick. The fans buzzed. Don't worry, my Gui Cheng is a taekwondo master. Even if 10 hunters come, he won't be afraid. Speaking of martial arts, you can't leave out my brother Du. He specifically studied martial arts with Master Song Lien, the 108th generation descendant of the Wu Zong sect. Let's talk about that later. Does anyone know why hunter number 7 is swinging on vines like a monkey? Xiao Yao just watched for a bit and almost vomited from dizziness. In hunter number 7's livestream room, I shared, since I was little, my dad threw me into the deep woods to train, so being in the forest is like being home to me. To quickly take down those goldfishes, and go home early to enjoy myself, I put on my gloves, climbed a tree with my legs, grabbed a vine, and switched to Tarzan mode. Netizens who hopped over from the guests' livestream rooms were stunned. The guests' room was peaceful, while the hunter's room featured a monkey performance. Does anyone remember this person is a calculating green tea robber? Slow down, I'm getting dizzy. 3 months ago, I remember a video of a monkey swinging on vines in the forest. That physique is exactly the same as this girl. I was in that group at the time. Let me clarify, Miss Song isn't a monkey. She helped us find many rare medicinal herbs and even drove off a pack of wolves. My master even insisted on becoming sworn brothers with her. I checked the schedule. 3 months ago, she was indeed on vacation. It turns out the green tea persona was just a cover. If she had revealed her true nature earlier, she might have been famous long ago. While swinging on the vines, I reached out and picked a few clusters of wild berries. The juice from the berries was as red as blood, which looked a bit gruesome, but the taste was excellent. I stuffed the remaining berries into my pocket. The other hunters took the land route, while I chose the airway, saving an hour. I had been to this forest before. I guessed the guests were likely sheltering in the cave in the middle of the forest. I crouched low on a tree branch and took out my binoculars to observe. I didn't see any people yet, but I spotted a drone carrying a supply crate flying toward the guests. That supply crate cannot fall into their hands. I gripped a vine and kicked hard against the tree trunk, using the momentum to swing toward the drone. Jeong Yundu had just stepped out of the cave when he jolted in surprise. Did something just fly past? The 3 female guests turned to look at him, perplexed. Xiao Jiang, what did you just say flew by? Jeong Yundu rubbed his eyes. I must have seen it wrong. I stood on a branch and swung a vine to snare the drone, flipped the switch to disable it, and salvaged the supplies. Then, I used more vine to bundle the drone itself as my personal loot. Squatting on the branch, I opened the crate, a large pot, a dagger, 2 potatoes, 5 buns, and a packet of curry. Not bad. If I catch a chicken, that's enough for a pot of chicken curry. Back at the camp, Director Kim stared at the screen, his head throbbing. Where on earth did I find a robber like this? He was about to pick up the radio to demand the items back when his assistant reported that Hunter No. 7's livestream was exploding, surpassing 500,000 viewers. Director Kim silently put the radio back down. As a professional director, he knew exactly what the audience wanted to see. The livestream chat was chaotic. Ha ha ha. This is the first time I've seen someone kidnap the show's drone. Professional robber Song Xingdu is the real deal. Is she planning to catch a chicken and cook curry right there? As I sat on the branch chewing a bun, I heard voices nearby. I pulled out my binoculars and cross-referenced the faces with my bounty list. Oh look, 2 merchandise items are walking my way. 500,000 and 700,000. The 500,000 point mark was carrying some wild berries, while the 700,000 point mark held 2 wild chickens. No, I should say 2 extremely rare wild pheasants belonging to the National Second-Class Protected Species list. As a professional robber, I couldn't ignore any guest with a massive bounty over their head. I stuffed the rest of the bun into my mouth, grabbed a vine, and swung toward them. I landed gracefully right in front of the pair. Xiao Yubai blurted out a curse by reflex, dropping the wild berries everywhere. Gu Yicheng took a step back, holding the 2 precious wild pheasants while shifting into a defensive stance. I smiled and stepped closer. Heh heh. I pulled out a large object from behind my back, ready to take them down. Suddenly, an angry roar erupted in my ear, but I ignored the sound in my earpiece and quickly subdued them both. To prevent them from escaping together, I tied each of them to a tree and stuffed half a bun into each of their mouths. Xiao Yubai looked at me with a bewildered, somewhat innocent gaze. I immediately stomped on the wild berries he had gathered. Xiao Yubai looked as if he had just uncovered a dark conspiracy. Afterward, I turned around and untied the wings of the pheasant pair. Once freed, the pheasants gently brushed against the back of my hand before flying away. Gu Yicheng watched the pair of wild birds he had worked so hard to catch fly off, his face turning dark as ink. I sat on a nearby rock, not far from them, chewing the final half of my bun. The livestream went nuclear. Wait, didn't Gu Yicheng's fans say he was super strong? How did the robber sister capture him in less than 1 move? Professional athletes should be banned. Sister Green Tea. No, Sister Robber, I surrender. If I'm not mistaken, that move Sister Robber used is a lost martial art. How many more surprises do you have that I don't know about? I called my master to watch the livestream. My master immediately knelt and pulled me down with him. Master said from now on, Grandmaster Song is the external patriarch of the Dong Luan clan, but as the West Third Prince, I'm the first to object. Director Kim's voice crackled through my earpiece, tinged with a hint of pleading. Miss Song, take it easy. The show just started. If you capture everyone now, how are we supposed to keep filming? I replied calmly, you're making things difficult for me. Director Kim understood the hint and began using money to persuade me. I have a new mission for you, infiltrate the guest group undercover. Every day you successfully hide your identity, you'll get a 1 million bonus. I tried to suppress my excitement and gave a light huff. What about the guest bounties? On the final day, you don't need to hold back anymore. You get the bounty for every guest you catch. Director Kim clutched his wallet, heartbroken. I pressed further. What if the guests suspect me and confront the hunters? My colleagues have all seen my face and know who I am. Don't worry, Miss Song, I'll inform them that from now on, no hunter knows you. Knowing when to stop, I looked into a hidden camera on a tree and said loudly, mission guaranteed to be completed. Director Kim breathed a sigh of relief. He disconnected and started complaining, besides this robber lady, what hunters do we even have left? All the other hunters have been wiped out. Director Kim had received news that the new hunters who entered the forest had fallen into a marsh one by one, like dumplings in a pot, proving an unbreakable sense of solidarity in their failure. I stepped forward and untied the vines from the guests. Xiao Yubai was full of questions, while Gu Yicheng watched me with total suspicion. I flashed my familiar fake smile. Haha, it was just a misunderstanding. I'm also a guest star. Gu Yicheng's face remained dark as he spoke without mercy. A misunderstanding? You didn't hold back at all when you attacked. Facing Gu Yicheng's doubtful gaze, I began my defense. This is what they call the Great Flood washing over the Dragon King Temple. I almost took out my own people. Gu Yicheng still looked annoyed. I guessed he was still mad about me releasing the pheasants. It really was a misunderstanding. I thought you were poachers. I released those birds for your own good. Gu Yicheng frowned. I pulled a palm-sized notebook from my pocket, found the page with the pheasant illustration, and handed it to him. What you caught weren't wild chickens, they are pheasants, national second-class protected animals. I watched Gu Yicheng's expression and noticed his face flushing slightly. As a public figure, I don't need to explain the consequences of killing protected animals on a live broadcast, do I? Gu Yicheng obviously got the point. Embarrassed and frustrated, he managed a thank you. He looked at me, his voice as quiet as a mosquito. Can I see that notebook? His defensive gaze vanished, replaced by a slight plea. I immediately tucked the notebook away. No lending. Gu Yicheng raised an eyebrow and asked curtly, how much? I waved my hand. Gu Yicheng understood. 50,000? Fine, I'll send the money once we're out. With the deal struck, I handed the Forest Encyclopedia to him. A notebook I bought for $5, sold for 50,000. Earning money from these young masters is so easy. Xiao Yubai poked his head out from behind Gu Yicheng and asked, then why did you crush the berries I worked so hard to pick? His eyes were clear, flickering with innocence. Before entering the forest, I had researched the guests. Xiao Yubai debuted at 17 and hadn't been tainted by the industry yet. He was still pure. Suddenly he blurted out, I know. You're a hunter. Good Lord, who said he was stupid? I'm the first to object. Seeing my silence, Xiao Yubai's face took on a just as I thought look. What motive could I have, other than doing a good deed? I looked past Xiao Yubai to Gu Yicheng, page 186, see for yourself. Gu Yicheng immediately flipped to page 186. His expression changed as he looked at his friend. What happens if you eat poisonous berries? I took a bite of my bun and answered vaguely, nothing major, you just have to prepare for an early meeting with the King of Hell. A thud sounded as Xiao Yubai collapsed. Gu Yicheng's eyes turned red as he looked at me, save Xiao Bai. Any amount of money is fine. I was stunned. Did he actually eat them? How many? 1 or 2 we can handle, but if it's more than a dozen. I stepped forward to check Xiao Yubai's eyes and took his pulse. Gu Yicheng watched me anxiously. 100,000. I furrowed my brows. He increased the offer. 200,000. I sighed. If only this had been discovered sooner, it wouldn't have come to this. Gu Yicheng frantically grabbed my hand, his eyes pleading, 1 million. I'll give you 1 million, you must save Xiao Bai. I was stunned. 1 million. That's 20 years' worth of rations for my entire mountain sect. I silently clenched my fist. After this job, I'm retiring to the mountains for good. Gu Yicheng looked at Xiao Yubai. His lips had begun to turn purple, and his face was full of regret. I should have stopped him from the beginning. Young master, don't worry. Wait for me, I'll be right back. With me here, even the King of Hell won't dare touch him. Gu Yicheng watched my departing figure and heard my overly Chunibu words, feeling that I wasn't very reliable. He didn't dare place all his hope in me alone. I ran to where the poisonous berries were, pulled up a few clumps of herbs, and returned immediately. Explaining how I could accurately find the antidote for these specific berries would be a long story, and a long story only adds to the heartbreak. I, too, had once accidentally eaten poisonous fruit. When my father found me, I was smearing green powder on myself while chewing wild weeds. The mountain was full of weeds, and I bit every single one until my face turned green. My father, unhurried, calmly took out his phone to record a video and posted it online. To this day, that tragic dark history remains in his friend circle, and every holiday, my disciples pull it out to have a good laugh at my expense. I hurried back to the spot. The scene before me left me dazed. Where did everyone go? In the cave, the guests were surrounding Xiao Yubai. What happened? Everything was fine when I went out. Ji Heiyu bit his lip nervously, seemingly having made a decision. Should I try to suck the poison out? Feng Zhuqing lightly poked his arm. Don't be so foolish. Gu Yicheng explained that Xiao Bai had eaten poisonous berries by mistake. Jiang Yandu's expression turned grave as he asked coldly, what kind of fruit poisoned him? Did you bring any back? Gu Yicheng remembered the berries that a certain someone had stomped into mush and shook his head helplessly. Su Lanying suggested, should we ask the production team for help? This is a matter of life and death. Jiang Yandu nodded in agreement. Yicheng, you and I will take turns carrying Xiao Bai. Sister Su, contact the team to arrange a pickup. This is the only way. Ji Heiyu suddenly cried out, his face pale with panic and his lips trembling. Can he be saved? Shut up. Gu Yicheng snapped, glaring at Ji Heiyu with hidden anger. Anxiously, he hoisted Xiao Yubai onto his back and headed out. Jiang Yandu and Su Lanying followed. Feng Zhuqing took a few steps but saw Ji Heiyu still standing there, shoulders shaking. Aren't you coming? Ji Heiyu stopped crying and slowly looked up, eyes red. I didn't mean to curse him. Will Yicheng hate me because of this? Feng Zhuqing felt irritated. Is this really the time to be playing out your romantic drama? In the comments section, the audience was fuming. The production team just stood by and watched Xiao Bai eat poisonous berries without warning him? Is the show really willing to do anything for ratings now? Is crying going to solve anything? They've gone far ahead, and now he's blaming Mr. Gu for not taking good care of him. Xiao Bai speaks bluntly, he didn't mean it. That Gu guy is too much, speaking without thinking. Can't he see the person is worried? Does anyone know if Gu and Xiao are in a relationship? If no one explains, I'm going to start rumors. Meanwhile, at the camp, Director Kim was watching the livestream, as restless as if he were sitting on fire. Xiao Yubai was the golden boy of both the Gu and Xiao families. If anything happened to him, the consequences were not something Director Kim could bear. Director Kim gripped the radio, his eyes fixed on Song Xingdu's route. Xiao Song, turn left. They turned left. Oh my god, I'm worried sick. Do you copy? Go left. You're going the wrong way. It's over. If young Master Xiao has an accident, the whole production team is finished. I rubbed my ear because the voice was too loud. I'm not wandering around. Director Kim immediately sped up. I quickly climbed a tree, pulled out my binoculars to confirm the path, then grabbed a vine and used the momentum to swing toward the guests. While the guests were running, drenched in sweat and exhausted, I dropped down from the sky. Gu Yicheng's eyes lit up with hope as he hurriedly laid Xiao Yubai on the ground. Did you find the herbs? I pulled the herbs from my pocket. Gu Yicheng breathed a sigh of relief. I glanced at the pale Xiao Yubai, not bothering to argue with Gu Yicheng about them suddenly leaving. I thrust the herbs into Gu Yicheng's hand. Crush these and have him drink them. Gu Yicheng took the herbs but couldn't find anything to grind them with. Without a second thought, he prepared to put the herbs in his mouth to chew them. I quickly stopped him. You won't be able to control the dosage. Then what should we do? Gu Yicheng asked worriedly. I gave a faint smile. You have this much skill and yet you dared to join a wilderness survival show? I took the herbs back and went to Xiao Yubai's side. Given the limited resources, I could only wash the herbs, put them into a water bottle with a stone, and shake it vigorously. Back in the day, I used to handshake the whipped cream from my father's birthday cakes in a water bottle. Shaking a bit of herbal juice was nothing to me. A few minutes later, I poured the herbal water into Xiao Yubai's mouth. After he drank it, I checked my watch. Wait 5 minutes. This herb is a very effective emetic. Look at how unlucky this kid is. Let's see if he ever dares to eat random things in the forest again. The guests observed Xiao Yubai's complexion while staring intently at me. I understood they were afraid I lacked the competence for such a dangerous task. If anything went wrong with Xiao Yubai, I would be held responsible. But it didn't matter. The money was already in the account, so everything was manageable. Director Kim had just spent 200,000 for me to save a life. A few herbs exchanged for 1.2 million. What a steal. The guests stood there worried, but I was in no hurry. I found a few stones and built a makeshift stove. From my backpack, I took out a pot, a bottle of water, and a pack of instant noodles. I gathered some dry branches and started a fire to boil the water. Feng Zhuqing was surprised. How do you have instant noodles? Director Kim didn't allow anyone to bring them in. I smiled. Director Kim indeed didn't let us bring them, but he never said they weren't in the forest. I pointed to a tree trunk, climbed up, and retrieved several items hidden there, picking up 2 bird eggs as well. The guests looked at each other in amazement. Before the show began, the director had announced that each person could only choose 3 items, and for food, there were only compressed biscuits, chocolate, and water. They hadn't expected the director to hide items in trees, and they had just learned a new trick. The comments flared up again. Does she have a medical license to be giving people herbal medicine? She climbs trees better than I climb stairs. Does anyone disagree with me calling Sister Du a monkey? Song Xingdu, don't sleep too deeply tonight, you'd better keep an eye out. I tore open the instant noodles, put the noodles, vegetable pack, seasoning, and oil into the pot, and then cracked the bird eggs into it. The aroma of the noodles quickly filled the air, violently stimulating the guests' sense of smell. Feng Zhuqing watched the pot of noodles and swallowed hard, a flattering smile spreading across her face. Can Juju have a bite? Suddenly, the sound of vomiting broke the atmosphere. Gu Yicheng rushed over to pat Xiao Yubai's back. Xiao Yubai collapsed into the grass, vomiting until the world spun. I scooped a bowl of noodles, ate a few bites, and set it down. I crouched in front of Xiao Yubai, lifting his chin with one hand. His complexion shifted from greenish pale to bone white. How do you feel now? Xiao Yubai's eyes were red, looking aggrieved. I feel a bit hungry. He looked at the fragrant bowl of noodles with expectant eyes. I smiled. Do you want some noodles? Xiao Yubai's eyes sparkled exactly like the Tibetan Mastiff I once raised. I suppressed the urge to pat his head and firmly refused. You can't. Your body is very weak, you can't eat greasy food. Xiao Yubai lowered his head, looking pitiful and helpless. Gu Yicheng couldn't stand it. Surely a little bit won't hurt? I picked up the bowl and took a sip of the broth, then beckoned Gu Yicheng over. When he arrived, I signaled for the camera to be turned off and whispered, when I said his body is weak, I didn't mean it literally. He has a rare toxin in his system. This toxin is what triggered the toxicity of the wild berries. Gu Yicheng's face paled. What do you mean by that? This kind of poison is the result of long-term accumulation. I left it at that. Gu Yicheng's expression turned grim as he struggled to suppress his rage. I didn't care about your family's internal power struggles, but since I promised to treat him, I would certainly see it through. Gu Yicheng remained silent for a few seconds before relaxing his fists. Thank you. From this day forward, you are an honored guest of both the Gu and Xiao families. I noticed the newfound respect in his eyes. Oh boy, I really don't deserve this. I only stepped in for the money. I'm not one to meddle in others' business for free. Once I had eaten my fill, I stretched out on a rock, comfortably swinging my legs. Realizing everyone was staring, I quickly adjusted my posture and adopted a sweet tone. All right, brothers and sisters, I'll help nurse this little brother back to health over the next few days. Once we're out of here, remember to bring him to Longxi Mountain to find me. Gu Yicheng was stunned. Isn't Longxi Mountain where? I cut him off instantly. Sure, keep it down. Gu Yicheng understood and gave me a wink. Seeing the two of us, Ji Heiyu lowered her gaze, her mind seemingly a blank void. Meanwhile, the netizens were going wild. What are they whispering about? Is this something even high-tier members like us aren't allowed to hear? I saw from Xiao Zhi's camera, they look very suspicious together. The main point is that brother Gu and sister Song look great together, right? After eating, I took a small porcelain vial from my backpack and handed it to Xiao Yubai. He accepted the blood-replenishing tonic but still hadn't given up. Can I really not have any noodles? Before I could answer, Gu Yicheng delivered a swift smack to Xiao Yubai's head. Eat whatever sister Song tells you to eat. Stop babbling. Xiao Yubai snapped back, you hit me? You actually dared to hit me. I had successfully infiltrated the guest group. Everyone welcomed me except for Ji Heiyu, who watched me with sheer hostility. It didn't matter, in my eyes, Ji Heiyu was just a shimmering 660,000 gold bounty. By the third day of filming, per my agreement with director Kim, I had to play the role of someone clueless. I pretended to be a terrified, white flower. When I saw a crow I screamed, "Oh, so scary." When a small snake slithered past, I lunged for Zhong Yundu and then, with a swift spin, latched onto Fong Zhuqing. "Save me, brother. Chase the snake away." Fong Zhuqing gritted her teeth. "Can you stop acting? You, afraid of snakes?" I hopped down and feigned piteousness. "It's so ugly it scared me." Fong Zhuqing pushed me toward the base of a tree. "Go up the tree and find the supply crates, prove your worth." I quickly scaled the tree and tossed the supply packs down. Fong Zhuqing looked at me with adoration. "You are my goddess." I blushed. Fong Zhuqing continued, "The one and only monkey goddess." That evening, Gu Yicheng and I caught a wild chicken and made a pot of chicken curry. Seeing the two of us coming and going together, Ji Heiyu huddled in the corner, fuming in silence. I told Fong Zhuqing to call her for dinner. "I don't eat food cooked by strangers." Ji Heiyu replied stubbornly. Fong Zhuqing chewed a piece of tender chicken, intentionally making loud smacking sounds. Ji Heiyu's stomach couldn't take it and let out a loud growl, leaving her mortified. Overwhelmed with frustration, she ran out of the cave. Su Lanying called out several times, but there was no response. Gu Yicheng looked toward the cave entrance, appearing uneasy. I set down my bowl and chopsticks and pulled Gu Yicheng along as everyone watched curiously. After walking about 100 meters, I blocked Gu Yicheng's path in front of a large tree equipped with a hidden camera. Hardcore fans rejoiced. Is the forest Cabodan scene finally happening? I looked at Gu Yicheng. "Don't drag me into your lover's quarrels." Gu Yicheng hesitated. "How did you know?" I gave a fake laugh. "My eyes are sharp as jewels. Did you really think you could hide it from me? How many times have you been sneaking glances at her since this afternoon?" Gu Yicheng scratched his head in embarrassment. We aren't involved anymore. It's dark out, and she's a fragile girl. If she runs into wild animals, she's in big trouble." She went off toward the right. Hearing this, Gu Yicheng immediately bolted. I sighed. Both of them are so stubborn, someone has to back down first. Half an hour later, Ji Heiyu returned, holding Gu Yicheng's hand. She approached me with a radiant smile and apologized. "Heiyu explained everything. I misunderstood your relationship, I'm so sorry." "It's fine, as long as you two resolved the misunderstanding." Ji Heiyu reached out to hug me, but the next second, I was hoisted into the air. I turned my head to see Zhong Yundu's face. "It's late. Go get some rest." He lifted me with just one arm, making me feel like an actual captured robber. It was quite embarrassing. The next morning, Ji Heiyu started calling me by a sweet nickname, while Gu Yicheng spoke with a noticeably jealous tone. Over the next 3 days, I led the guests in scouring the area for every available resource. By the 5th day, the production team stopped providing supplies, but I had gathered enough to last until the final day. After spending so much time together, we had built a deep friendship. However, in the face of a massive reward, sentimentality meant nothing. On the morning of the 7th day, I woke up earlier than usual to prepare the final breakfast for the guests. I decided I had to do my job properly, even if it was a bit dishonest. I planned to lead the guests to Gold Island, to demand a ransom in a simple and efficient manner. But when I returned with the pot of washed rice, the cave was empty, with no sign of the guests left behind. After a few seconds of doubt, I pulled out the earpiece I had kept hidden for 6 days. No matter how many times I called, there was no response from the director. "Are you people playing games with me?" I stuffed the earpiece into my pocket and took out the remaining compressed biscuits from my backpack. After eating and refueling, I officially embarked on the path of a hunter. I stepped out of the cave and crouched to examine the footprints on the ground. The tracks were quite messy, with signs of intentional tampering. The most logical explanation was that the production team had betrayed me, revealing my true identity to the guests. Whether I was the hunter or the hunted, I was definitely winning this match. I retrieved the gear I had hidden outside the cave and officially began the hunt. The production team couldn't find a suitable hunter, so they decided to flip the script, turning the 6 guests into temporary hunters to hunt down the only professional hunter, Song Xingdu. Taking advantage of my absence, the guests had quickly packed their things and fled. Since their opponent was too strong, they decided to use strategy. Step 1. Paralyze the enemy. The guest team sent their weakest member, Xiao Yubai, to play the victim. He lay under a tree near the cave with a look of utter reluctance. As soon as I left the cave, I saw Xiao Yubai lying unconscious. I ran over to check. His face was flushed, his pulse was normal, and he looked nothing like an injured person. I pulled out my dagger, pressed it against Xiao Yubai's neck, and blew a cold breath into his ear. "Xiao Bai, you've known my true identity for a long time, haven't you?" I used a low, gravelly voice, employing years of trained acting. "Since that's the case, I can't let sentimentality stay my hand." Xiao Yubai pretended to be fainted, but his body couldn't help but tremble. As I spoke, I slowly moved the prop blade upward. "Still faking? Your friends are quite cruel, throwing you out to die in their place. Well then, I can only congratulate you on becoming my first prisoner." Suddenly, Xiao Yubai rolled to the right, landed clumsily on his stomach, and begged, "Spare me. Sister Laniying ran that way. Her bounty is huge, go chase her instead." He blinked frantically, signaling me. I looked in that direction and caught a glimpse of a shirt sleeve in the distance. Su Laniying quickly hid behind a tree, gently rubbing her chest as her heart nearly leaped out of her ribs. She tremblingly picked up her radio to report, "Mission failed. Xiao Bai number 1 has been captured by the enemy." I used a vine to propel myself forward, landed safely, and snatched the radio from Su Laniying. "Xiao Bai number 2 has been captured by the enemy, over." I switched off the radio and stared intently at Su Laniying. She gave a forced smile, her hands and feet fidgeting awkwardly as if she didn't know where to put them. "Good morning. Where is Xiao Bai? Have you had breakfast?" "I just went out to pick some wild vegetables." Xiao Yubai slowly approached, a stalk of dogtail grass in his mouth and a red ribbon tied around his wrist, the mark of a captured player. "Sister Laniying, stop acting," he said. I crossed my arms over my chest, scoffing as I watched Su Laniying perform. Finally, she dropped the act and put on a nonchalant air. "Hee, I was just kidding. Actually, I am one of them, but from now on, I belong to Team Song Xingdu." To gain my trust, Su Laniying even raised 3 fingers to swear, "I, Su Laniying, renounce the darkness to follow the light and join Team Song. In life, I am a member of Team Song, in death, I am a ghost of Team Song." I cut her off and tied a red ribbon around her wrist. Su Laniying out. Instead of being sad, she breathed a sigh of relief and leaned close to my ear to whisper, "The director is truly heartless. They don't care about your life or death at all. Let me ask, is there any difference between 1 against 6 and 6 against 1? For a normal person, it's a big problem, but for you, Sister Song, it's nothing. Let me remind you, your record is 1 against 500. In the distance, Director Kim suddenly sneezed and took out his radio. "Hunters, hold your ground. Don't let the enemy enchant you. Especially you, Xiao Ji, surrender means punishment." Ji Heiyu took a stealthy glance at Gu Yicheng. "Yicheng, listen to me, let go of your morals and just be yourself." Gu Yicheng looked at her helplessly. "That goes against my principles." Principles. Principles. Go live with your principles then. Ji Heyu stomped off in a rage. Meanwhile, Fong Zhuqing was sitting under a tree munching on fruit and watching the drama. This little couple is quite a surprise. But for the director's bounty, this Fong absolutely will not surrender voluntarily. I clung to a vine and flipped upside down from the tree trunk, approaching her silently. I used the tip of my hair to lightly brush Fong Zhuqing's neck. She reached up to scratch it, completely unaware of the danger. I tapped her lightly on the shoulder. Fong Zhuqing froze in shock, struggling to look up only to see me brandishing my prop knife with a wide grin. Is the little monkey back to play? She collapsed onto the ground in terror, backing away. Xingdu, I know where Jiang Yundu is hiding. I'll lure him here as a gift for you. If you catch him, will you let me go? The audience in the livestream room chattered excitedly. Please invite Sister Song to star in a horror movie. Sister Fong, stop talking, the film emperor is standing right behind you. I glanced at the person standing behind her with a complex expression. It was Jiang Yundu. Fine, then knock him out and bring him here, I told Fong Zhuqing. She nodded vigorously and pulled a large stick out of the bushes. No problem. Jiang Yundu spoke softly, no need, I'm already here. Fong Zhuqing was so embarrassed she wanted to dig a hole with her toes and hide. Jiang Yundu stepped closer, his voice grave, there are people in the forest. I was skeptical. What do you mean? People other than us. They have dangerous weapons, I suspect they are poachers. Jiang Yundu continued, the game is paused. Can we cooperate? I gathered the guests together. The trap they had prepared for me was a large net woven from vines. I furrowed my brows. Since when did you all know I wasn't a guest? Ji Heyu sold out the team without hesitation. I only found out this morning, but they've known since the first day. Gu Yicheng quickly covered her mouth. I laughed softly. Very well. It's a pity I was blaming myself, taking care of you all without knowing you were using me all along. Jiang Yundu broke the silence. Who will lure the enemy into the trap? Everyone looked at me simultaneously. I gave a small huff, clenching my fists until my knuckles cracked. Ultimately, Fong Zhuqing and I went to bait the enemy. Cries for help rang out, and the brothers Yi Xiaoyong and Yi Xiaochen appeared. They seemed to be poor locals who had desperately entered the forest due to hardship. But behind them was another group of 5 men, much better equipped. I reported the situation via radio to Jiang Yundu. He replied, the director has already called the police. Don't act rashly, keep yourself safe. The poachers were smearing a type of fragrant powder on the Yi brothers to lure wild animals. The man in the black windbreaker smiled. The play begins. I couldn't wait any longer. I climbed to the top of a tree and shouted, don't run around. Find some mud and smear it on yourselves to mask the scent. My shout caught their attention. A bullet whizzed toward me. I performed a mid-air flip to dodge it, then delivered a kick that sent the nearest man flying, snatching his hunting rifle. The man in black yelled, "A million to whoever hits her." Courtesy of the Gu family. The man I had disarmed crawled up, cursing, "You wretched woman, today I'm going to teach you a lesson in the 3 obediences and 4 virtues." I wrapped a vine around my waist and threw my earpiece box to one side as a distraction. Gunshots rang out in succession. I kicked off a tree trunk to gain momentum and swung out, bang, bang, bang. Each bullet from my hand struck their arms and legs, making them howl in pain. I unfastened the vine and quickly used the rifle but to knock them unconscious. I was grabbing some vines to tie them up when a groan sounded from behind. Jiang Yundu used his wooden sword to pin the palm of a man holding a gun. I glanced at the gun in the man's hand and nodded. Thanks. Jiang Yundu and I tied them up together. The man referred to as Master Gu tried to sneak away, but before he could get far, a sharp wooden sword was pressed against his neck. His voice began to tremble. Do you know who I am? Jiang Yundu sneered. Master Gu, it's been a while, hasn't it? Master Gu swallowed hard, his voice shaking even more. If you know who I am, why haven't you released me yet? You idiot. I stepped forward and slapped him hard across the face. My father won't let you get away with this. Stop hitting me. Be gentle. It hurts. I beat Master Gu within an inch of his life. On the livestream, comments flooded the screen. My sister Song is such a talented artist. As the first fan of Sister Song, my treasure has finally been discovered by everyone. Sister Song is hot now. Directors of strong female leads, look at our Sister Song's acting skills and beauty. I really want to see her in a lead role. Gu Yicheng rushed over. Looking at the man whose face was beaten purple and swollen, he still recognized him, Master Gu. The man named Master Gu immediately trembled, glanced at Gu Yicheng, and lowered his head to avoid eye contact. Gu Yicheng delivered a kick. Well done, Master Gu. Trying to play the villain and even hiring hitmen. Wait until you're behind bars. Master Gu lunged forward and hugged Gu Yicheng's legs, tears streaming down his face. Uncle, I was wrong. Don't take me to the police station, I won't do it again. From now on, I'll study hard and behave. Xiao Yubai, standing nearby, chimed in mockingly, Yicheng, don't believe a word he says. This guy is cunning. Believing he'll change is harder than believing my sister Song is the Monkey King. Suddenly being mentioned, I raised an eyebrow and said softly, You're quite the smooth talker, aren't you? I pulled the fake kitchen knife from my belt and, quick as a flash, pressed it against Jiang Yundu's neck with a smile. Jiang Yundu. Jiang Yundu raised his hands in surrender, smiling back, Take it easy. Director Kim, who had just arrived at the scene with the forest protection team, laughed loudly. Congratulations to Hunter Song Xingdu for completing the hunt. The guest team has been completely eliminated. Director Kim ignored my murderous glare and pressed the board to mark the end of the show. The second season of the reality show The Great Escape Stars had successfully concluded. After filming, we exited through the VIP hallway. Fans packed the hall. Sister Song. Sister Song, look at me. Master, please take me as your disciple. Song Xingdu. I love you. Since my debut, this was the first time I had been so warmly received by fans. It was truly overwhelming. My hand was sore from signing autographs, and after finally persuading them to leave, I saw a familiar face. Jiang Yundu stepped forward to greet a man. Master, did you come to pick me up? Tong Yi glared at him, walked past, and came toward me, Little Grandmaster. My family has a tradition of late marriage and late childbirth. My father was 3 generations apart from his peers, and by my generation, this gap had stretched to 6. Calling me Little Grandmaster was not an exaggeration. I pulled Tong Yi back and said with a laugh, Modesty, let's keep it modest. Jiang Yundu was astonished. Tong Yi remembered to introduce us, Little Grandmaster, this is Xiao Du, my last disciple, and also Awe's grandson. Awe's grandson is this big already? Jiang Yundu was stunned. You know my grandmother. I adopted a profound air and smiled. If you are Awe's grandson, then you must call me great-aunt. The smile on Jiang Yundu's face slowly faded. What? Great-aunt? I smiled back. Be a good boy, nephew. The director was terrible, but the prize money was transferred to my account exactly as promised. With a large sum of money in hand, I decided to return to the mountains for a secluded life, following Ms. Zhao's advice. A week later, Gu Yicheng, who had just finished settling his family's internal affairs, brought Xiao Yubai to Longxi Mountain to find me. They were accompanied by Ji Heiyu, Feng Zhuqing, and Jiang Yundu, who maintained a cold expression from start to finish. Song Xingdu, your great-nephew is here. Jiang Yundu said. I smiled back and used the highest etiquette to receive them, specifically taking them to see the commemorative flag the police had given me. By evening, I brought out a pot of slow-cooked chicken curry. Try my cooking. The more they enjoyed eating, the more they had to get up to use the bathroom during the night. I turned back into the house and switched off the lights to sleep. A robber's revenge is never too late, even after 7 days.